Hello members, welcome to Createful Art. Today we're going to talk about painting tools, and most importantly, we're going to talk about paintbrushes. We're going to learn the anatomy of a paintbrush so that we can learn what their differences are so that we can pick the right one for us. And then we're going to learn how to hold our paintbrushes so that we can work tight or loose depending on what we want to do. The first thing that we want to notice is the bristles. Now the bristles here are synthetic, but they can also be made out of animal hair. The bristles are a part of what is called the head of the brush. And when I'm describing the head of the brush, I'm going to be describing the shape of the brush. So the next thing is the ferrule. This is this metal part right here, and it holds the bristles onto your paintbrush. And there's only two ways the ferrule can be: round or pinched at the end to make it flat. This crimp has been pushed down to hold the handle on to this part of your brush, and this holds the bristles, okay? So everything right here is being crimped together so that the bristles don't come out, and so this doesn't come off. Now the head of the brush has a tip, or what's also known as the toe of the brush. So you will use this part of your brush, but you will also use the tip of your brush to get certain brush strokes. Now the next thing we're going to talk about is the handle. One, they can be made out of plastic, and the other, they can be made out of wood. The next thing about your handle is that you'll see that there are long handles at the store and there are short handles at the store. Now, the reason for this is that some people like to use their paintbrushes really far back. So this is going into how to hold your brush. So they hold their brush like this, the very end, because they want to be as far away from their canvas as possible. Usually their canvas is on an easel. Okay, so I'm going to move my hand down the handle to have more control. Now if my handle is way long, that's going to be hitting things up here. If you're mostly working with paper or a canvas down on a desk, you don't need the long handles. I am not going to tell you there's one way or one correct way to hold a paintbrush. It's what feels comfortable to you and what is going to give you the results you want. And the only way that you're going to know what is going to be right, the right way to hold your brush to get the effect you want, is by doing it. So in this video, we have learned how to hold our brush, the anatomy of a paintbrush so that we can better understand them. Today we're going to talk about the bristles on our brushes so that we can choose the right ones for the brush strokes that we want. Now the bristles here are synthetic, but they can also be made out of animal hair. So you're going to have softer animal hair brushes. You're going to have bristly animal hair brushes. You're going to have soft synthetic brushes, and you're going to have more of a coarse synthetic brush to choose from. Synthetic, soft, or animal hair brushes are going to be good for washes, holding a lot of water, thinned paint, glazing over surfaces. They're also going to give you good details. So they're going to give you nice edges. Because they're soft, they're not going to give you a lot of texture. They're great for using for watercolor techniques. Now there is a difference between the soft synthetic brushes versus the soft animal hair brushes. Okay, so the animal hair usually holds onto more water. Now let's talk about bristle brushes. And I know we talked about this as being the bristles, but a lot of artists use bristle to describe a very coarse brush. So when you want thick paint, use a bristle brush. When you want more paint to cover your surface area faster, use a bristle brush. When you want rough edges and brush marks, use a bristle brush. When you want to use dry brush techniques, like stenciling, use a bristle brush. So grabbing the right brush with the right bristles is really important in getting the brush strokes that you want. We are going to learn how to take care of our brushes, and this is super important because it is really frustrating when you go to grab your brush and it's ruined or it doesn't work the way that we want because we haven't taken care of them. So the first thing that you want to do when you're taking care of your brushes is not leave them in your water for long periods of time. So the next thing is, don't leave paint on your brush and then set it down and forget about it. And this happens a lot with beginner artists. Once this is dry, then you have to like push and crack the acrylic paint and pull it off, and what it does to the bristles is it ruins them. And I like to get all the paint off of it onto a paper towel because it's much easier. Put it in your water and kind of go like this, back and forth to loosen up that paint on your brush, and then see if it's clear on your paper towel. You can kind of dry it off, and notice how I'm going in the way of the brush. You know, I'm not going this way. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand, I'm reshaping the bristles on the brush. When to use soap. Acrylic does not need soap if you have synthetic brushes. But if you find that your synthetic brush has some crazy hairs, you can use your soap with the conditioner in it to reshape those. But I recommend always using the soap with animal hair brushes. It's like your own hair. Your own hair needs conditioner. And usually what I do is I just leave them to dry flat. And then what I do is I take them and I put them face up in my mug here. So you need to know how to take care of your brushes. Today we're going to learn what to look for in a good brush. Now when you're looking at the bristles of a brush, there are a couple things you need to know so that you can find a good brush. So I do what I call the finger method, and I pull back on the bristles, and if they flip up, that means this brush is going to hold its shape. It's going to be a good brush. But if you can go like this and it loses its shape, for example, this one is actually a little too soft. This is supposed to hold a round shape, such as this brush. If you take a brush and you go like this and some of the bristles fall out and break off, that means it's not a very good brush, and what's going to happen is these bristles are going to fall out in your painting. So the next thing is the ferrule. That you're looking for a brush that is going to be made out of something that's not going to rust. So don't buy anything that goes like this. That's not good. Don't buy anything that's dented or starting to rust already. Now the next thing we're going to talk about is the handle. Now what happened here is when you have a wood handle and it gets saturated with water, it expands. And then what happens is it dries up and it contracts. This is what happened with this brush. And so I recommend not having wood handles. Just get the synthetic plastic handles and you won't have to worry so much about that. I'm going to let you know what my favorite brushes are, and I'll put those in the description. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about the head of the brush and the different brush strokes that we can get with that. So first we're going to look at the round brushes. So notice that the round brushes are round ferrules and they come to a point at the tip. So what can you do with round brushes? Well, you can get lines that are inconsistent. You can make them small and thick by putting pressure on them, but they're not going to give you a perfect line. I'm going to use the tip to get a point at the end of my shape. Then I'm going to push down and then I can come back to a point. Now the thicker this brush is, the more thick it can be in the middle here. And as long as I'm just putting a little bit of pressure on it, I'll get a small line. So I'm using the tip to create dots. Just trying to put a detail in. Notice how I take my brush and I'm coming closer to that ferrule. And the smaller your round brush, the more detail or smaller your lines are going to get. So the next type of brush is the flat. You can use your flat brush, okay, so this one's about 1/2 inch, to get those more perfect lines. So this is great for edging. So geometric shapes are perfect for this. Filling in areas, blending are all great with this brush. This brush is called a wash brush. Some people call it a varnish brush. It's basically a bigger version of the flat brush. It holds a lot more paint. This one is going to cover more area, still going to give me those nice edges, and it's going to be great for blending. Let's look at this interesting brush right here. This is called a rake brush. It's got hairs that are cut right here, and then it's left a few, and then it's cut right here. Okay, so what this is good for grasses or whatever. Lines with gaps in between. Angle brushes. So this obviously is going to be good for angles. Same as this, great for angles, but to get points. Filbert brushes are flat, so it's been pinched here at the ferrule, and the head right here is rounded at the tips. Now these are really good for making clouds. Cloud and round shapes. Also great for flowers. So rounded edges. Riggers and liners, and I don't use these very often, so I don't have a really good one, but they're longer, so they're basically for making long lines, like signatures, writing in your work. You can put the top line on something. The fan brush, a lot of people's favorites. So the fan brush is great for blending, great for trees. Okay, great for grasses. Also great for patterns like going like this. Now we're going to talk about the mop brush. A lot of artists use makeup brushes as the mop brush. And the mop brush basically is for holding a lot of water. Okay, so getting those watercolor effects. Just like you're spreading blush or your makeup on your face, you can blend with them. So grab all your brushes, make some brush strokes all over a piece of paper, just have fun with it, and learn what shapes they make. So in addition to brush types, there are techniques to also learn so that we not only grab the right brush, but we use it properly to achieve our desires. So if you've ever done one of my painting tutorials along with me, you probably know already that even if you have the same brush as me and the same color on your brush, you may get a different look. And that's because of the technique I'm using with my brush, and you need to know those techniques that I'm using so that you can get the same look if that is your desire. So this right here would be considered a dry brush because I haven't added any water to my brush, and this is the look I'm going to get. So you can put more paint on your brush to get a thicker application so you don't have that skipping and it has maximum coverage. Now let's see what I do when I make this brush wet. So it creates less drag on my paper. But notice here that it's also become transparent. So the next thing that you can do is you can use watercolor techniques. This is a watercolor technique, but you can use watercolor techniques with your acrylics. So another thing that's cool about this is you can do some mixing with other paints in here. And this is great for blending. You see, I can blend that rather easily. And I can come in here and put an opaque paint over here. It's a little wet behind it, but if I let that dry, I could go right over it. So the next technique is glazing. Now glazing, you usually have glazing medium to mix with your paint so that it can actually be transparent, because glazing is about having a transparent paint over another layer of paint. So you build layers that way. So I'm just using a transparent paint over this, and that's glazing. So we did glazing here, and you saw the texture and stuff underneath. So you can do that and build texture. And this builds color. So the next one I want to show you is called scumbling. And what you do is you take just the tiniest bit of paint, move the paint in it in a scratchy way. So dry brush over usually dry paint. But you can still see some of that texture underneath and that color, but it's softening it. So these are the most important techniques that I use in my artwork. It is all about building layers with these techniques right here that create a more realistic look. Now, if you want more impressionism, then you can just pick any of these techniques and go with it. You're creating your own unique look. Abstract painting also, like, there's a lot of texture in abstract paintings. So all of these techniques are important for any kind of art that you're doing. And practice along with me in my tutorials. Let me know in the comments what you learned from this lesson. And I appreciate you taking the time to learn more with me today so that you can become a better artist. And I'll see you in my next lesson or tutorial. Bye!